Hello everybody, it's Will here from Singletrack magazine. We have a brand new production bike here, but we're also joined, more importantly, by a special guest, Pat from Identiti Bikes.
Hello everyone.
And Pat has dropped this brand new Mettle full suspension enduro bike, would you say?
Yeah, to use a phrase commonly known, yeah, enduro.
Yes, the phrase...
Fun machine.
Fun machine sounds way better. Okay, fun machine, we've got the Identiti Mettle fun machine, and we're going to be testing this bike. And I believe these just arrived in the UK, was it last month?
Yes, they arrived with us last month.
Okay.
Have been already flying out the door on their way to a trail near you, and it's been awesome.
Alright, so what we're going to do is we're going to take you through some of the features of the Identiti Mettle. So this is a UK design alloy 160 mil travel fun machine. And if you've got any questions for Pat, this is the man who has basically designed this bike and also tested as well. So if you've got any questions about the bike, bung them into the comment section below. Marky Mark will help us out and read those questions out, and we'll get Pat, the expert behind this brand new UK designed enduro bike, to answer them for you. So, so let's just go through the basics. So you mentioned it's an enduro bike, so how much travel it's got, let's talk about geometry, what sort of riding is this bike designed for?
It's designed for fast, aggressive, good, proper mountain biking basically. It's going to perform its best on the steep trails. So it's pretty slack. We've got a 65-degree head angle. It's pretty long reach geometry. We have a 435 chainstay. We've kept the front triangles.
Measurement on the back here, 435.
We've kept the front end pretty long for its size, so we do small, medium, large, with the reaches of 440, 462, 465 and 482 for the large.
Whoa, that's long.
So I'm 5'9" and I ride a small because small bikes are cool.
Okay,
People should be riding the size that is right for their size, not being told they should be riding a large all the time.
Right, so there's a bit of a trend at the moment with full suspension mountain bikes and enduro bikes, trail bikes, whatever you want to call them, of riders like myself of an average 5'9", 175 centimeters.
I think it's the national average.
It is for a man. It's not short, thank you very much. Of people upsizing, so basically to get that longer front center, so you can run a shorter stand, wider bars, you know, and have that kind of longer, more stable kind of geometry. Yep. So it's quite common for people who would normally ride a medium to upsize to a large, people who would ride a large, upsize to an XL. So you're saying with the Identiti Mettle, you don't need to do that?
No, basically you're going to ride, our small is essentially a medium, our medium is a large, and our large is an extra large.
There you go.
On a general basis compared to everyone else.
So what, have you got a size range, like for rider height, would you go off?
Yeah, it's just about to go on the website, just to make things a little bit clearer, because sometimes I get asked, oh, I'm 6'2", do you do an XL? But if you look at geometry compared to what they're riding, they should just be on our large. So it's just sort of re-educating that people don't need to think about upsizing all the time. And like, we've got a guy at work who rides a large and he's 6'2", 6'3" as well, and he gets on with it absolutely fine. Yeah. And then guys like me, and I ride a small, and that will go down to 5'7", like probably. So it's a bit harder for short riders, like really short riders. But like we do cater for more or less everyone can fit on a bike. Like I can ride a large. Yeah. It's not my favourite size to ride, but yeah, it's a bit, but yeah, we've got like good pedalling angles, so like 75 seat angle, so it's quite steep, gets you over like the front a bit more for pedalling. What's
a fork travel, and can you run a longer fork or a shorter fork? What sort of recommended travel up here?
Well, so all the bikes that you buy will come with a 160. On my own personal bike, I'm trying out 170 at the moment, to see how it feels. It does slacken out a little bit, it does tweak the geometry and the steering a little bit, but 160 is perfect, really. Gotcha. Well set up 160 fork is all you need.
Okay, 160 mil front and rear. Yeah. Now it's obviously made of alloy. It's a really chunky looking bike. So talk me through some of the features of the frame, the suspension pivots. What's going on here to make this a durable kind of British capable trail bike?
Well, exactly. We live in Britain. It rains.
So I've been learning. Yeah.
And I mean, this weighs 14 kilos, just over. We didn't build it light. That wasn't number one on the list to design a light bike from the start. Like heavy bikes do ride better, they hug the ground better, they perform better, suspension performs better with a slightly heavier bike. We're using the same bearings in all the pivots. So
also the same bearing size.
literally every bearing you see,
So here, main pivot as well,
and back here,
and on the horse.
they're all the same bearing. They're all pretty large bearings.
Uh-huh.
So when it does come to replacing them, you're not like trying to find that tiny little one or this one that's going to wear out.
Oh, that's brilliant.
And that was just a choice we made. Was just like, let's just make it simple. Like you only need one bearing type. You haven't got to find 6 different bearings. And the same with like the hardwares. All a 5mm Allen key.
All 5mm.
Yep, everything that you would
Okay.
check or do up is a 5mm Allen key.
So pivot hardware for each of the 4 pivot locations. 5mm hex key. Did you hear that? That is absolutely brilliant. I've also noticed no press fit bottom bracket.
Yes, again, because what's wrong with threaded?
Yeah.
Threaded is fine, it's worked for decades. We don't need to change that. It's simple, it's easy to do at home, easy to change, easy to service.
Nice.
So everything's super easy to maintain. Loads of tyre clearance again. We live in England. Our original prototype, we had a brace around the tyre here, which didn't work out very well. I was racing last year on it and just shaved mud off, clogged the back end up. So we're like immediately, right, we're going to change this. We live in the UK, it's going to rain. We need to change that. So the bracing now you can't see on the camera is actually hidden behind the rocker here. So there's a brace that just runs from the seat stays round the front, hidden away, keeps that back end stiffness, but without sacrificing on your tyre clearance.
Yes, yeah.
So you can run like a comfortable 2.6 on a wide rim in the back with plenty of clearance and still no tyre buzz.
So max tyre clearance 2.6?
Yeah, which is pretty big now.
Yes.
Well,
Plus minus is the...
No, we've had 2.6 Schwalbe tyres in there.
Okay.
Absolutely fine. I've been riding in France with a Magic Mary on a big rim. These are Halo Vapor 35s. So they're pretty wide internally. So
35mm internal?
No. Confusing you. No, they're 35 outer. So
it's like 28 or something.
yeah, 28 on the inside there, but
Mm-hmm.
it does give a really nice big tyre profile.
Yeah.
And we didn't have any issues when we were away riding on in the Alps. It was awesome.
I've also noticed external cable routing, which is quite nice. I vouch for external.
Some people hate it, some people don't mind. I'm personally a believer that if you're running a hydraulic hose, you don't want to run it internally, because when you do want to change a hose or put a new brake on, it's a complete hassle. Unfortunately, we have to do it with the seat posts because they're all internal now.
So this is a stealth routing for the internal dropper post, and it pops out just down here.
Yeah, and then pops back into the down tube and then comes out just up here on this internal.
And that's the only internal cable.
Yeah, and then we just put the gear cable internal here just to increase the chain clearance. So because the rear triangle is quite small, on the original samples we had the cable running here, and then we didn't want the chain to interfere with it or just chew the cable, so we just run it in there, pops out there, just tidies that back end up a little bit.
Pretty straightforward.
But for your main hydraulic cables, external is what we believe in and is going to work the best.
Yep.
Just again, going back to easy serviceability for home mechanic.
Yes, absolutely. Have we had any questions come through, Mark?
There's a few.
Okay.
Tom Nash
Oh, yes.
of this parish says,
Hello, Tom.
Why not spec a piggyback shock on an aggressive enduro bike?
Which is an option you can have on the frame set, and we can do it on the complete.
So on the frame, you can get it with the Deluxe.
Deluxe on the, basically we do 3 specs of bikes. So we do the GX Eagle, which is in front of you.
Okay.
We do an XT spec, which also comes with the Deluxe. And then we do an XO1 spec, which comes with a Super Deluxe.
Right.
However, you can order it with either. The standard spec is with that one.
Yep.
Or you can buy the frame with the Deluxe or the Super Deluxe. So the pricing on that is $15.99 with the Deluxe and $16.99 with the Super Deluxe.
With the Super Deluxe. And hope that answers your question, Tom. So yes, it is available.
Plus piggybacks do look cooler.
Agreed. Yeah. Well, there's, if you're going to be potzing around the car park, it's all about looks, isn't it? The GX Eagle spec we've got here, how much is this complete bike?
So this bike here is $3,599.
3,599. There you go.
Of your UK pounds.
Yes.
The XT is $4,199, and then the XO1 is $4,999.
Okay. All right.
There is spec improvements as you go along through the range. So on the XT, you obviously get XT 11 speed, 1x only, which the bike is 1x only.
Yep.
You get the new reverb with the new nice lever.
Oh yes.
You jump up to a 31.8 Renthal cockpit. and then you get a Pike on the XT.
Okay.
And then on the XO1, you obviously get your XO1 12-speed group set. Reverb again, 2018, you get a Lyric and a 35mm carbon ventral cockpit.
Okay. On the note of suspension, let's talk about this bike here. So 160mm travel on the rear, 160mm on the front.
Yep.
What's the fork on this?
That's the Yari.
Let's bring this around. We'll give
So
everyone
you've
a
got
bit
Yari on the front, which is a brilliant fork. Boost wheels front and rear, so boost forks on all the specs. Yeah, it's just a brilliant fork on this bike, price point really.
Oh yeah, definitely works. Squishy, that's good. That's good. And the if you just want to move that stand out of the way, let's spin this around. So the other thing I was looking at on the rear shock here is this mount down the bottom. So can you tell me about this, tell the viewers what this is and why you've put that feature on this bike?
You'll see on a lot of new bikes coming now, like they'll be running metric shocks, some are running the new trunnion mount with a vertical shock. We're using it horizontally. This is a bearing mount in there, so there's two little sealed bearings in the back end of the shock, but it really improves a small bump. So combined with the standard 4-bar suspension platform we're using here, it just gives you really, really supple off the top.
So instead of the DU bush that you've got at the top, down the bottom here, there's no DU bush, there's 2 cartridge bearings, one on either side. So basically allows the initial starting movement of the shock to be a lot smoother, so you don't have to overcome the friction that you can often get with a DU bush. Yeah. So
we're using the standard air can on this shock from RockShox. It comes with 2 of their little plastic spacer tokens in there for a little bit of volume reduction. There's space for a third, but we're finding that all the riding we're doing, everyone that's ridden it, they're either taking one out, or just
to make it more linear if need be.
So the back end is quite progressive when you ride. But because of that bearing mount, you get really, really supple small bump, and then from sag onwards, you get like really, really good support in the back end. So it's never just diving away from you, you're not blowing through travel. There's always lots of support in the back end.
What about coil shocks? Is that an option?
We've been trying it out. We're not sure yet whether we can really offer it aftermarket, just because of the combinations of springs, people's weights, and everything. An air shock's really convenient because you've got such a wide range of pressures and you're not reliant on a coil spring.
You just put a shock pump on there and
Pretty much. I've been testing the coil and it does feel amazing, as coil shocks do, but I spent a lot of time on the Super Deluxe Air and also the Deluxe, and to be honest, as an air shock now, technology is so good.
Oh yeah, especially with that bearing mount down the bottom, I mean, so supple.
Yeah, I mean, I run, because I'm from a dirt jumpy hardtail background, from my own riding perspective, I run a little bit less sag, make the bike a little bit firmer. So I run less sag, a little bit firmer, nice and poppy and playful one. But then we've got our EWS racer, James Shirley. He's running 35% sag in the standard tune, nothing special going on, and he's loving it because he's riding steep stuff all the time.
So he just wants to drop the...
Just getting himself into the bike a little bit more,
Interesting.
Digging his heels in, getting more traction.
Very cool. Just moving to the back of the bike, you mentioned that it was boost hub spacing front and rear.
It's boost only. We didn't want to go boost. In the whole design of the project, we started out with like we're doing 142, that's what it's going to be, but kind of forced into it. Being a smaller brand, we don't want to have to like tool up for a back end mould in the factory, and then not even a year later go, we're going to have to remake boost back ends, like some brands are doing with their bikes now. So we jumped straight to it. It is an inconvenience, short term I think, but long term it's just going to be here to stay.
Seems to be where most wheel brands are going.
Yeah, and it does give you some benefits. You do get a stronger wheel. Our Halo wheels we use using in there. We do boost hubs, but we also do 142 hubs that you can convert. So we've got wheel sets now that you can basically use an end cone and a disc spacer and make it boost.
Right. Okay. So you can fit the current 142 wheels into a boost frame. Very cool.
Later down the line.
The other thing we were talking about before is compared to the prototype that we saw back at Core Bike, barrel nuts here.
So the production, or the pre-production samples we showed at Core Bike and the NEC Cycle Show last year didn't have those inserts in. Not that we had a problem with that before. We could have brought the bike out. There wouldn't have been an issue with it. But what we don't want to see is someone with their 5mm Allen key riding off a seat say assembly just because. So it's just a bit of easy.
Sometimes you've got to assume the worst.
Exactly, and I mean, there's not really any weight penalty, and it's just, again, a bit of user friendliness.
Yep.
Just so if someone does ruin it, they haven't got to buy the back end, because it's a large piece of metal to
Yes,
look
absolutely.
out on. And then on resident Chips' advice and recommendation, we moved the split of the seat clamp to the front from the back,
Ah, right.
because the pre-production ones, it was on the rear.
We'll just pull that around there. I don't know if you can see that, Mark, but we've got forward-facing slot for the seat tube. Very nice, but small detail.
It's just, there's a lot of little things that we did think about, just to improve, just to stop mud getting in. It's just one of those stupid little things that shouldn't happen, but does.
Yes.
In the world we live in with mountain bikes and mud.
Inevitably, yes.
But yeah, it's just a lot of, like, just a few minor tweaks from the one we showed earlier in the year to what we have now and what you can buy.
Okay, brilliant. This is the Identiti Mettle. It's just arrived, it's brand new, as of a month ago, arrived in the UK, production spec. So
Finally.
Finally.
We've been talking about it for ages, it feels like.
Yes, yeah, it was NEC last year, wasn't it, the first prototype?
Core bike last year. So
was it Core Bike?
January 2016.
Wow, okay, so it has been some time. Well, they are finally available. Now, where would readers go to find out more about this?
So if you go to identitybikes.com, we have our dealers listed on there, and if there isn't one in your area, either just contact us through the website or on social media at Identiti Bikes,
Cool.
on Instagram and Facebook.
There you go. So we've got frames available and three different bike
completes,
options.
yeah, and also a lovely purple colour, which we haven't got in
Yes,
this video.
which we saw at Core Bike earlier this
Yeah.
year, which is very dashing, which kind of reminded us of a certain confectionery brand, I think.
Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
which we shall not name. Yeah,
There is another question.
Another question.
It's to you, Will.
Oh.
This is Peter John Laurie. Says, what's the score with the gangster black tape under your knee?
Oh, everyone's doing it. I was early on the trends, so
It's
watch
the next
out.
fanny pack.
It is the next fanny pack. This is, yeah. You're going to see a lot more of this, particularly with the skulls and the wings, which I think is rather snazzy. I'm basically broken. So as Pat was saying before, this is a structural piece of tape, and it's holding my leg onto the knee, which is really convenient. So thank you for the question and concern. But yeah, I guess we'll probably leave it there.
You're not held here under duress. Everything's fine.
Yeah, that's right. I gotta get out of here. Moving right along. We will be testing this this Mettle test bike, so look out singletrackworld.com for more details on this bike. Pat from Identiti Bikes, thank you so much for coming in and telling us all about this new enduro fun machine.
Yep.
We combine the two into one, I think. And if you're interested about this, if you've got any other questions and you're watching after the fact, we are currently on live on Facebook, but if you watch this after the fact, chuck us in a question into the comment section. Pat and myself will do our best to answer them for you. Otherwise, thanks for joining us, and thank you very much, Pat.
Thanks a lot.
All right, tooroo, guys.